What's up, guys? So in this video, we are going to be doing a project that I've been looking forward to for a long time. We're going to be designing a custom grill for the 280ZX. So if I haven't mentioned before what I actually do for my job, we design a lot of prototype vehicles and concept cars. So that gives me access to a lot of cool equipment at my work. And we're going to be putting that to use today. I'm going to be using one of our scanners to scan the front geometry of the car. And then I'm going to design something up in SolidWorks and use our water jet to cut some aluminum and make something a little bit custom. Really looking forward to it. It should be pretty cool once it's all said and done. So the first thing that we need to do, the bumper mounts from the big boxy bumper, right there, that I took off, those are actually filled with fluid and they are going to be reused for the new mounting locations for this grill. So what I'm going to do is drill a hole in this piston right here, and that should allow us to press them back all the way in, get them another maybe 4 inches or so closer to the body, and that should allow us to keep kind of the same profile of the air dam below it by having the mounting point a little bit further back. So let's drill some holes and push those in. All right, guys, so we had a somewhat small window of time to work with, so I didn't get a chance to fully compress those mounts right there. But we're gonna go ahead and get it scanned anyway, and we'll just account for the distance later on in the data. So let's go scan it.
Points or all the dots. This should give us our surface.
Okay, so that maps out all the dots, yep. And then you go back.
You scan the dots first, and I mean you can do it so it does both at the same time.
Yeah.
But this makes it a little bit better.
Gotcha.
So then you can see right on the screen the data will.
Nice. Alright, guys, so we have the scan data imported into SolidWorks, and next I'm just going to show you some of the major steps that I took when creating the design. You can see the scan looks pretty good. I shot it at a 1mm resolution. So the first thing that we did to create the design was actually just to create our main surface along the front face of the grill. So this lofted surface will create the majority of the features for the grill that I'm planning. If you can tell, my overall goal here was kind of just to fill in this front area between the bumper and the hood and kind of smooth out this front geometry, and hopefully do that in any direction. You know, as you rotate it, it should be a smooth transition. So that's the surface that's going to create the horizontal slats for the grill. So the next step is to kind of outline where those slats are going to go. So I have all the slats extruded. You can kind of see the overall look that I'm going for. There's a little bit of cleanup to do from this point, but this is the bulk of the design right here. So after I was able to kind of clean up and trim the ends to get them pretty close to what I want, the next thing to address is kind of this big empty space in between this top slat of the grill and the hood. I'm going to do a 3D printed piece to fill that gap. So I'm going to show you that here. Alright, so that piece is pretty much designed. Does a pretty good job of just following that line in the hood and dropping it down onto the grill. That is going to be a 3D printed piece, and I'll probably just end up bonding it to the top slat of the grill. So from here, I'm going to skip ahead in the design a little bit, mainly just because I I was playing around with different stuff, trying to see what actually works, and I think it'll be clearer if I skip to the finished product. So here we go. This is the final product. The couple parts that I was playing around with, one of them was just how I was going to terminate these upper slats that kind of go into this recess here. So I designed this piece. This piece is going to be another 3D printed piece, and the slats of the grill will actually kind of just feed into those slots. But I do like how it kind of ends those right there, and then it follows like a nice line where each of the grill slats ends. It's a smooth curve there. Another thing I did was, because I'll have enough material for it, I designed a splitter to be cut out of the same sheet of aluminum as the grill pieces. And then next I did these vertical supports. They will kind of tab and slot into the horizontal members, and then the whole thing will be attached, the same mounting flanges that we looked at in the beginning of the video. You can kind of see I have them recessed another inch and a half for the compression that I was talking about, to make those sub-flush of the surface. So at this point, the bulk of the design is pretty much done. I am going to hop over into a different file and kind of show you a few more things. Alright, so this is my assembly file with the grill and some of the hardware. So for the splitter, we're going to be doing some of these splitter support rods right here. I think those were just an Amazon purchase, but I'll have 4 of them total. The 2 sides will just go back to the body, and then the 2 front will go to a mounting point on the grill itself. And then for these side pieces, they will actually be bolted into one of the existing holes in the body. Lastly, I just wanted to touch on the color scheme. So if you've seen any of my other videos, you know my color scheme is black and gold. So kind of following that same idea here. The splitter, bumper, and upper filler piece and side filler piece will all be like a satin black, and then the grill will be a gloss black, and then the front edge of this is going to be painted gold. A big inspiration for this design was like an Aston Martin grill, where they have a polished front face. So I kind of wanted to take some design inspiration from that, and I think it will go a long way to kind of show all the contour and all the curvature of the lines here, as opposed to them kind of just blending into the body if they were all black. So the next step from here is just to make some files that I will need for fabrications. And so here are the cut files for the water jet. You can see I have the splitter down here at the bottom, all the ribs of the grill, these are the horizontal ones, and then some of the vertical ones. I also have some little brackets and odds and ends that are going to help me in other places. So now I'll just save a DXF file of this sketch and send it to the water jet. Alright guys, so now that I'm done designing the grill and the splitter, we're going to turn our attention to fixing the bumper. You can tell I've run over a couple bumps. I hit one on the highway specifically that kind of cracked it down the middle. This bumper was originally shipped in 2 pieces and I had to bond it together, so that's exactly where the crack started. So we're going to fix that. We're also going to add a bracket to each of the sides here just to fix our fitment a little bit, and then just clean everything up and get it ready for paint. Now, one other thing that I did want to show, these are the fully recessed bumper mounts. And if you're curious how I got these to fully compress, I'm going to go through the process real quick. First, drill a hole in the piston, wash out because they are pressurized with some oil. So now I have them in the shop, all the oil is drained out. There is a nitrogen charge in the end, so you need to unscrew the little screw at the end and let out that charge. And next I got everything set up in a shop press and just fully pressed them down until I got them both equal and to the point that I wanted. Next I scribed a little line on there once I got them installed, just so I knew what the rotation was supposed to be. And then I went ahead and drilled a hole through the piston and the shaft that goes through it, and I'm going to bolt that in place just to kind of lock down that distance. And then once I completed that process for one side, I just repeated it for the other side and then reinstalled back on the car. All right, so we are about done repairing the bumper. All I did was go around with some Duraglass, reinforce it a little bit, and then added some Bondo. I also went to any of the mounting holes and Duraglassed in some washers. They were starting to crack right around the mounting points, so I wanted to reinforce those. Kind of the same idea back here. Fabbed up some aluminum plates and bonded them on just to make sure those holes don't open up. And then just overall went around and fixed any cracks or defects. So we have the bumper all fit up. One other thing that I did is I installed these bond nuts on the body panels just to make installation a little bit easier. So next up, we're gonna fix this fitment issue, and then we're also going to fit up one of the RP pieces. So to fix the fitment, I fabbed up this little bracket right here. We're gonna bond that to the back side of the panel and fix that gap, clamp it up there. And then for the 3D printed piece, which I have right here, I think it turned out really nice. So that will actually fit right into that gap there. And the slats of the grill will then be bonded into those little pockets. But it will also serve as an attachment point. So if you see that little hole right there, we have some bond studs that are just gonna go on the back of this printed piece and then through that hole, and we'll bolt it in just to secure it a little bit more. So that's the plan for what's next. Well, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so next up is a pretty exciting part in the process. We're gonna be water jetting all of our grill pieces. This is done out of a 4x8 sheet of 5052 aluminum on the water jet at my work. So we have all of our parts back from the water jet. So real quick, I'm gonna tell you what's what. These are the horizontal slats on the grill. These are the vertical supports. I have 3 main ones that will tab and slot into the other grill pieces. These are the mounting flanges. A couple brackets, those are just gonna be for the splitter. And then I do have 4 optional vertical supports. These will just be to straighten out the ribs if when I weld them, it goes to warp on me at all. So next up, I'm gonna sand down any of the rough edges, do a test fit, and then hopefully tomorrow we will be welding this all up. All right, guys, so we have everything mocked up here. I did put the additional vertical spacers in there just so I could hold it together a little bit better. But I do like how everything's turning out. All the curves are just like I modeled them up, and I'm excited to get everything welded together. So that's the plan for tomorrow. All right, so the latest addition to the workshop is the Eastwood AC/DC TIG 200. You can see I've been doing a lot of practicing. I think I'm finally prepared enough to go ahead and do the real thing. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so at this point, I just have everything mocked up here. You can see I got the splitter and the top filler piece. Right now, I only have the 3 main vertical supports installed, but I think I am gonna install the other 4 optional ones, mainly because at the ends of the slats, they get pretty floppy and I'd worry about them at high speeds. Alright, so we are done installing the 4 additional support members. It really stiffened everything up, and from this view you can see all of my somewhat ugly welds, but when it's installed you won't be able to see anything because it'll be on the underside. Next up though, we're going to install the splitter support rods and just cut them to length. Alright, so after we fit everything up, the next step was just to surface everything with a layer of Bondo. Then we fit it back up on the car, made sure everything was good to go before we take it to paint. So to paint everything, we actually were able to use one of the spray booths at my work. So at this point you can see I've started to apply the first layer primer to everything. Now the grill and the splitter are going to get an epoxy primer and then a black top coat and some gold accents with a gloss. The bumper and some of the accents are going to get a urethane primer and a satin black finish. So I skipped ahead a little bit in the process, but at this point we have the black base on the grill and we have about 6 hours of masking into it to get the gold accents on the front face. We have the black done for most of the other parts. The only thing that I didn't get around to was the bumper, just because I had to fix a couple little defects. But now we're just going to finish out the gold accents and apply our clear coat. So we have everything back from paint and it's all mocked up here inside. I'm really loving how everything is looking, and overall I think the gold accents were a really good touch. I'm loving the contrast between that and the satin black. Next up we're just going to go ahead and install. So I think we're getting really close to the finish line here. Everything is looking great. The last piece that we have to install is actually this top filler piece. So we have some JB Weld plastic. We're just gonna sand everything down and then bond it in place, and then we should be done with the install. Alright guys, so we got everything fully installed and back on the car, and I gotta say I'm really loving how it turned out. So the front end here is much more smoothed out than it was originally, and that was always one of my biggest complaints about the stock front bumper. Everything was just a little bit too boxy for me, but now I think with this it really just smooths out all the geometry, flows a lot better into the body, and it looks pretty badass. One extra little thing that I think turned out really nice is from a straight front view. You can see the hella horns that I have as a nice little gold accent in the back. And then one additional accent piece that I am planning on doing are those headlight covers. I think it'll go really well with the smoothed out look of the front end, just to kind of complete that. But overall, I think that about wraps it up for this video. I'm really happy to be at this point. It was a long project to get through, but definitely worth it in the end. So it may be a little bit until my next upload. I'm kind of debating right now what's going to be my next project on this thing. I would say it's either going to be an 8 HP transmission swap or go ahead and do the wide body. Right now I'm kind of leaning towards the wide body just so that I can get around to paint and make everything match a little bit better. But let me know in the comments what you think, if I should do the 8 HP swap or if I should go ahead and do the wide body and repaint. So that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.